Hey YouTube, I'm Lucky, and today I want to bring you a video where I'm going to go over and review the Spare Rations hand cannon. Now this is a really popular hand cannon. It's just recently become extremely popular, especially on PC, so if you're coming over from cross-save from console over to PC, this thing is a beast. The reason why is because it's a 150 RPM, so it has a very fast fire rate, and if you can land 3 consistent headshots, it will 3-tap an enemy. So the 150 RPM hand cannons have a very high time to kill. The 140 RPMs, like the Ace of Spades or Better Devils, are also a 3-tap to the head, but they're slightly slower by that 10 RPM difference. So these are preferred because of that slightly faster time to kill. And because of that, you're seeing these more and more. And the good news is that right now, in order to farm this weapon, you have to go into the Reckoning and farm it over and over again. And the drop rate is really low currently, but by the time you're watching this video, most of you will know that Bungie is updating the drop rate for the Spare Rations, so you're in luck if you want to farm for this. I believe the update will be coming out this Tuesday on Reset as I'm recording this, so I believe that's like September 3rd. Don't quote me on that though, because it may be later in September, but sometime during September, they're doing a big buff to the drop rate of the Spare Rations, so as you farm for it in Reckoning, you'll have a much higher drop rate chance of getting it. And if you do farm it, which you should if you're playing on PC, if you do farm it, I want to make a video where I go over and explain to you all what would be the ideal god roll for the Spare Rations. As you can see here, I have a nearly god roll, and I have put in a decent amount of time using it, and this thing is definitely really good and definitely worth your time. So for PvP purposes, I'm going to break down exactly what the god roll Spare Rations would be. So if you are out there farming the Reckoning right now, hopefully you're not, please save your sanity, wait until after the buff to the drop rate, because the drop rate is so incredibly low right now. If you're either waiting to farm it or if you are currently farming right now, this is the god roll that I would be looking for. So this hand cannon archetype in general has a slightly lower range, and this is for PvP purposes. So ideally, you're going to want to get full bore on this bad boy. Full bore is going to maximize that range at the cost of 10 stability and 10 handling, which is not that big a deal. Full bore is definitely the best. Of course, if you don't get full bore, it's not necessarily a make or break barrel. You could definitely use a variety of different barrels. These aren't nearly as impactful. The most impactful part of the weapons are these two columns right here, column 3 and column 4. These first two columns are definitely meaningful, but not nearly as impactful as the other two. So there's full bore, and then the second option we're going to go over is going to be ricochet rounds. This will also add more range to the weapon. Again, this archetype has a lower range than, like, for example, if you're trying to outshoot an Ace of Spades, the Ace just has so much range, so ridiculous. If you're going to try and compete against that, you definitely are going to want to maximize the range potential for this weapon. So hopefully you can get full bore and ricochet rounds, or one or the other. It's not necessarily a big deal to have a perfect god roll. It's going to be hard to get such a perfect god roll as well, even after the drop rate buff, because every single time this drops, it has a completely random roll. So the first two perks, full bore, ricochet rounds. The third perk is actually going to be, out of all the different slots here that I've seen, the one that I find to be the most meaningful would be snapshots, sights, or ricochet or rapid hit here. Rapid hit would be nice because, of course, you know, you want to be able to reload pretty fast. You're going to be reloading decently often. It does have a really big magazine size of 13, so not reloading as much as like a sunshot, I guess, but you are reloading a decent amount, and rapid hit is a pretty good perk. But I always like to focus everything when I'm using a PvP weapon. My philosophy is focused on the first kill, because if you're facing against someone who's of equal skill or of greater skill in PvP, you want to focus on that one kill alone. You're not focusing on reloading after you kill that person. You're focusing on landing the shots on that person and trying to outshoot them, out 3-tap them before they 3-tap you. So I definitely think for PvP purposes, the absolute best perk is going to be snapshot sights, with rapid hit being a close second. All the other perks are definitely not nearly as useful as snapshot sights or rapid hit. Snapshot is a really good perk. When you aim down sights, of course, this increases your range, and if you aim down sights extremely snappy, you will land the first shot ideally. If you play this scenario out, you'll land the first shot ideally, which would then flinch your enemy, allowing you to land your 3-tap and hopefully flinching them off of landing their 3-tap. So this is actually really useful, and I highly recommend to have snapshot sights. The role that I have has snapshot, and oh man, it makes a big difference. I really like it, and this perk is undervalued in a lot of ways, but it is definitely the best perk in this slot 3. For slot number 4, there's a lot of damage buff perks here. We've got Rampage, Swashbuckler, Kill Clip, and Multi-Kill Clip. You don't need any of these because they don't actually increase the time to kill. The only one that would be Multi-Kill Clip, which for the sake of getting a crazy like clip of doing some insane damage, Multi-Kill Clip would be really cool. It buffs it 20, 40, and 60 increase in damage, and so you could actually do some crazy stuff with Multi-Kill Clip. But ultimately, you don't really use these a lot in PvP, and usually when you get in a primary gunfight, you suffer some damage. Like usually the time it's not an instant kill when you're in a primary gunfight. It takes 3 shots to the head, and in the process of you firing those 3 shots to the head, often you receive damage. So these perks often don't really have that much validity or help. So I highly recommend to stay away from those, and they also don't increase the time to kill, at least except for Multi-Kill Clip, of course. Slide Shot is a perk that you don't really want to use. It is a cool perk to reload your magazine and stuff, but this would also change the stability of the weapon, and you want a consistency when you're using weapons. You don't want to have your weapon change in stability. You want to have complete consistency, so that way you can build that muscle memory and land those 3 tabs. It would be really weird if randomly your weapon had amazing stability because you slid. I don't think that would be a good perk at all to use. Hipfire Grip, of course, is silly. We don't want to be hip firing the hand cannon. You're just adding a ton of RNG to where that shot goes, so don't use Hipfire Grip. Rangefinder and Moving Target. Now these are the 2 perks you want, one or the other. Moving Target is great because you can aim down sights and strafe, and hopefully make it much more difficult for enemies to shoot you. But Rangefinder is definitely the real winner here because, again, this weapon archetype suffers from not having a ton of range, especially compared to a lot of other hand cannons in the game. Because it has such a high fire rate, it's balanced out. Sort of Bungie's balancing system is to give it the higher fire rate, the faster time to kill, but then bring down the range. And this balances out the hand cannons in assortment if you think about it, but you sort of break the archetype by having all range perks on your spare rations, and that's definitely the best possible option to do so. And Rangefinder is definitely it. Rangefinder is really, really nice, and I have Rangefinder on mine. I have Snapshot and Rangefinder. My roll is a near god roll. It's not a perfect god roll, but it does have the 2 perks that matter the most, Snapshot and Rangefinder, so I love it for that reason, and I use it quite a bit. I also really like the Rose hand cannon. It's very similar, but whenever I use this, and recently I've been using it, and it's pretty good. I really enjoy it, and I think that if you're transitioning from console to PC, you'll enjoy it. Or if you've been playing on PC for a while and you've been wondering what is all the hype about, this is what the hype is about. This is why this weapon is used quite a bit. Of course, for Masterworks, ideally we would have range here. That would be the best possible Masterworks slot. For mods on it, you're going to want Icarus Grip, probably if you're a hunter. I wouldn't use anything else other than Icarus Grip on most things because hunters are very jumpy. Jumping is your strongest attribute. Mobility is your strongest attribute as a hunter in PvP. If you're not a hunter, if you're a Titan or a Warlock, I would highly recommend just using Targeting Adjuster, so that way you can land those shots with a little bit of ease of use. So those are for mods, and those are your masterwork. Mine has handling, as you can see here. I have Rangefinder Snapshot, which is so nice. The synergy between these 2 is great if you think about it too. Snapshot makes you aim down sight really fast. Rangefinder only works when you're aim down sights. So perfect. That's exactly what you want. Right here, of course, it would be really nice if I had ricochet rounds, but instead I have extended mag and alloy magazine. Those are both not very ideal perks, but I'll let it slide because those perks are definitely not as meaningful as Snapshot or Rangefinder. Rangefinder actually being the biggest range boost to a hand cannon out of all the perks here. And then going over to the first one, Full Bore. I don't have Full Bore here, but I do have Hammerforged Rifling, which does extend the range, so it's a small trade-off. I at least don't lose that stability, I guess, which is maybe kind of nice, but I would definitely trade it. If I could have Full Bore, I would have it there. So this is my roll. I've used this thing an absolute ton. I mean, I've used it quite a bit. I didn't even have the Crucible tracker on it for a while, but I have like 143 kills with it. I've used it quite a bit, and I've also been using a very similar hand cannon, the Rose, 150 RPM, and these things are beasts. I mean, if you take the time to learn the rhythm of this thing, you will become extremely lethal. And what I want to do is show you a little video of how you can master this weapon and become extremely lethal with it. Alright, so here I am on the map Bannerfall, and I'm going to give you an example or a sample of how you can become extremely lethal with these hand cannons. So the first thing I want to point out is that when you aim down sights with these hand cannons and just completely full fire, like just mouse click 1 as fast as possible, this is the recoil pattern that you get. Okay? And so it's important to keep in mind that the first shot lands here, and that the second shot, third, fourth, and fifth, and so on and so forth, is very, very vertical recoil. But the second shot there really goes off to the right. So it's important that when you fire the first shot, you want to pull to the left to counter that. So you're firing the first shot and then pulling to the left. So that way you can continuously land on the same exact target every single time. And I'm slowing my fire rate down here to do so, but when I'm actually in a gunfight, I'm doing this as a sort of muscle memory as I'm playing. I'm shooting the first shot and then pulling a little to the left, just like that. Just pulling a little to the left. This is based on the distance as well. You'll have to pull a little bit more based on how far someone is. But it's really, really important to learn this muscle memory and to have this aware and in your mind. Because if you don't, when you first use this weapon, you're going to have the experience I did where I'm like, this thing is awful. You fire the first shot, and then every shot afterwards just completely misses, and you're like, what is going on? Or the worst thing you can do is fire the first shot and wait for it to completely reset to fire the next shot. This is very unoptimal time to kill. This is a very unoptimal time to kill. You definitely do not want to slow down your fire rate to such a cadence that you land each shot like that. What you want to do is fire the weapon as fast as you possibly can, but pulling the aim back so that way you land the shot in the same spot every single time. Kind of like that. That's what you're looking for. And obviously you only need 3 shots to land in order to get a kill, 3 shots to land to the head. And if you can keep the cadence in that manner, you will definitely land 3 shots pretty easily. And this weapon will prove to be very, very useful for you, especially when you want to use certain other OP exotics in your loadout, like you might put on a Lord of Wolves here, or maybe put on a tractor cannon in your heavy slot. It can be really nice to not be locked into your exotic being your primary last word, or ace of spades, or thorn. It can be really, really advantageous to have a sort of team chemistry with that as well. If you're the one guy who uses the tractor cannon on your team, you can shut down a lot of supers with the tractor cannon and such. It can be very useful for comp. So that's the video. I hope you all enjoyed this video a ton. If you did, make sure to smash the like button. I hope you all enjoy your grinding in Reckoning when they buff those drop rates. I hope you get yourself a spare rations. I hope you get the exact god roll you're looking for. I hope you enjoy your transition from cross save from console over to PC. Welcome to the PC world, and enjoy. Thank you all for watching. I hope you have a great night, and I'll see you in the next one.